Hey guys, tonight we're going to do something a little different. We're leaving behind the grand marble forums, the thundering legions, and the political intrigue of emperors. Instead, we're going to walk a very long, very quiet, and profoundly scenic walk with a man whose job was essential, yet utterly unsung. We're going to spend a day in the surprisingly dull, yet deeply satisfying life of a Roman aqueduct inspector. This isn't a story of conquest, but of conservation, not of power, but of patience. So put on your most comfortable sandals because you're about to walk a lot. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Your support is what keeps these late-night history trips going. And while you're at it, let me know your city and what time it is for you right now in the comments below. I love seeing where you're all listening from. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. The first hint of dawn is not a burst of light, but a softening of the oppressive darkness. The pre-minus dawn air in your small house, just outside Rome's bustling Porticagna, is cool and carries the faint, mingled sense of damp earth and wood smoke from the bakeries already stirring to life in the distance. A rooster crows, a lonely, insistent call that seems to echo in the quiet stillness. You stir in your simple cot, your body already accustomed to this early rising. Another day, another walk. You pull on your rough wool tunic and cinch it with a simple leather belt. Your sandals feel familiar and comfortable on your feet worn soft by countless miles. Just like your hands are worn smooth by the tools of your trade, you grab a small, coarse linen bag containing your lunch for the day, a piece of hard bread, a few olives, and a small flask of watered wine. You light a small oil lamp, its flickering light casting long, dancing shadows on the plastered walls of your modest home. The lamp reveals a small, wooden tablet in stylus on a shelf, ready for the day's observations. This routine, precise and unchanging, is the quiet backbone of your life. This is the mainstream historical reality of daily life for countless Roman citizens. For every senator in a toga or legionary in armor, there were thousands of ordinary people whose lives were defined by simple, manual labor and strict routines. You were one of the equerries, the men who maintained Rome's vast network of aqueducts. While your job might sound mundane, it is, in fact, one of the most critical in the entire city. Without you, and men like you, Rome would grind to a halt. The beds would run dry, the fountains would cease to flow, and the million citizens of the capital would go thirsty. You are, in your own quiet way, a guardian of civilization itself. You step outside your front door. The stars are still a scattering of cold dust across the velvet sky, but a faint, grey light is now painting the eastern horizon. The city walls loom nearby, dark and imposing. The sounds of Rome are still muted, a distant, dreaming hum. No carts yet, no shouting merchants, only the occasional bark of a stray dog or the clip-minus-clop of a lone rider's horse. It's a peaceful time, a brief, beautiful interlude before the roaring chaos of the city begins. You savor it, for you are about to leave the city behind entirely. This early morning stillness offers a unique and surprisingly meditative piece of Roman Riviera. Many ordinary Romans would have experienced similar, quiet moments before the city awoke. The baker kneading his dough, the market gardener heading to his plough, the fisherman preparing his nets. Their lives were dictated by the sun and the needs of the city, forcing them into a rhythm that provided brief, personal encounters with the quiet hours of dawn. You are not alone in this peaceful solitude. You begin your walk, your steps steady and measured. You are heading directly out of the city gates, towards the countryside that surrounds Rome. Your journey today will take you along one of Rome's 11 great aqueducts, the Aqua, the longest and most revered, known for its cold, pure water. You can see its dark, imposing silhouette in the distance, a long, low line of stone arches marching across the rolling hills. A giant staircase leading water from the distant mountains to the heart of the city. The precise role of an Aquarius like you is a subject of quiet historical debate. Were you primarily a general laborer, a repairman of last resort, or were you a skilled technician, expected to understand hydraulics and structural integrity? The detailed records left by men like Frontinus, a famous water commissioner, suggest that the management of Rome's aqueducts was a highly sophisticated administrative and engineering feat, requiring a disciplined and knowledgeable workforce. Your job is more than just a work. It's a living, breathing audit of Rome's most vital arteries. You pass a small shrine by the roadside, a humble altar to some local deity of the springs. You pause for a moment, offer a silent prayer for a smooth journey and a safe return, and continue on your way. The road is still empty, stretching out before you like a pale ribbon in the growing light. The distant murmur of Rome begins to fade behind you, replaced by the chirping of crickets and the rustle of leaves. The fresh, crisp country air fills your lungs. The day stretches ahead, long and unhurried. Your quiet work is about to begin, a solitary pilgrimage along a man-made river that feeds an empire. The cool, grey light of dawn finally reveals your destination. It stretches before you, a colossal artery of stone and mortar, marching across the landscape with an almost impossible linearity. It's the Aqua, or at least one of its many impressive sections. In the half-minus it truly does look like a concrete dragon, asleep on the rolling hills, its back a long, unbroken ridge. You can feel its immense presence, not just visually, but physically, a profound stillness it imposes on the land around it. You approach the aqueduct, your sandals crunching softly on the dew-kissed grass. Up close, its scale is breathtaking. Some sections are mere channels cut into the ground, hidden beneath layers of earth. But here, the water flows overhead, carried by massive arches that stand testament to the Roman genius for engineering. The stone blocks are enormous, precisely cut and fitted without mortar in some places, simply held by their own colossal weight. In others, you see the dark, rough texture of Roman concrete, a material so durable it has outlasted empires. This is the mainstream historical fact that makes your daily walk so extraordinary. These aqueducts were marvels of the ancient world, feats of civil engineering that brought clean, fresh water from distant springs directly into the heart of Rome, transforming it from a mere city into a true metropolis. They were the lifeline of the empire. As you draw even closer, a new sound reaches your ears, distinct from the chirping of crickets and the distant murmur of the city. It's a low, continuous hum, a sort of ethereal whisper that seems to emanate from the very stone itself. It's the sound of the water, flowing endlessly within the covered channel atop the aqueduct's arches. It's a constant, gentle murmur, a quiet, rushing sigh that has flowed for centuries, a secret conversation between the mountains and the city. It is the steady, unceasing pulse of Rome, audible only to those who get close enough. Like you crane your neck, looking up at the lofty arches, some reaching 20 meters or more into the sky. You spot one of the speckers, the channel itself, where the stone has crumbled slightly, revealing the dark, smooth interior where the water rushes past. This gives you a glimpse into a peculiar piece of Roman aqueduct trivia. The lining, the inside of the speckers was often coated with a special, waterproof plaster called opus scininum. This was just any plaster. It was a mixture of lime, sand, and crushed terracotta, often from broken roof tiles or pottery, pounded into a fine powder and then mixed with water. This minor sting, incredibly durable, and completely waterproof material was crucial. It prevented the water from seeping out and the stone from eroding, ensuring the purity and efficient delivery of the water over vast distances. It's a quiet testament to the Roman obsession with practical detail. The historical debate that quietly hums around these monumental structures is about the level of scientific understanding the Romans possessed. Did they truly understand the complex hydrological principles of fluid dynamics, pressure, and flow rates in the same way a modern engineer would? Or was their success more a result of empirical knowledge, trial and error, and sheer, massive application of disciplined labor? Some historians argue that their practical achievements imply a sophisticated, albeit unarticulated, theoretical understanding. Others contend that, while brilliant, Roman engineering was primarily pragmatic, relying on centuries of inherited craft knowledge and an almost limitless supply of manpower to build to such massive scale. They didn't necessarily know why it worked, only that it did. You reach a set of narrow stone steps built into the side of one of the support piers, a common feature along the aqueducts, used by inspectors and repair crews like yourself to access the channel. You ascend slowly, your hand brushing against the rough, cold stone, feeling the faint vibrations of the water rushing inside. At the top, you stand beside the channel, looking down at the clear, cold water flowing swiftly towards the distant city. The air here, at this height, is even fresher, carrying a faint, clean smell of pure spring water. You pull your small, wooden inspection tablet from your bag, along with your stylus. Your day has truly begun. It is a day of walking, of listening, of observing this concrete dragon as it feeds the heart of the world. The sun is now a thin, golden line on the horizon, illuminating the endless march of archers into the distance. The whisper of the water is your constant companion, the silent, vital pulse of the empire. And you, the unassuming guardian of that pulse, begin your long, quiet walk. Your work, you quickly understand, is one of meticulous observation, quiet preparation. The grandeur of the aqueduct is a given. Your focus is on the minute details, the subtle imperfections that could, over time, threaten the flow of water. Before you even take your first step along the channel, you perform a ritual of readiness. You check your tools. They are few, simple, and worn, but they are your constant companions, your silent partners in this solitary profession. You reach into your linen bag and pull out each item, laying them carefully on a flat, sun-warm stone beside the aqueduct channel. First, your wooden inspection tablet, smoothed by countless thumb presses and smelling faintly of beeswax. Its surface is lightly coated with a thin layer of wax, ready for your stylus to scratch observations into it. Attached to it by a leather thong is your bronze stylus itself, sharpened at one end for writing, flattened at the other for smoothing out the wax. This is your personal journal, your daily report, the official record of your long walk. Next, you draw out a small plumb bob, a simple lead weight attached to a thin, strong cord. This is your level. You hold it out, letting the weight hang freely, watching the string settle into perfect verticality. It is a tool of absolute truth, revealing the slightest deviation from the horizontal. This is a mainstream historical tool, fundamental to Roman engineering. Every arch, every channel, every pipeline in Rome relied on the simple, unerring honesty of a plumb line to ensure precise measurements and proper gradients. Your job is to make sure the aqueduct, even after decades or centuries, still adheres to the meticulous standards of its original builders. Then, you pull out a short, sturdy wooden rod, marked with precise Roman increments APE, as foot its subdivisions. This is your measuring stick, for gauging the depth of the water, the width of the channel, or the size of a crack. Beside it, you lay a small, sharp chisel and a flat, narrow trowel wheel, both made of iron and well-soiled. These are for minor repairs, for scraping away algae or applying a patch of fresh opacine to a hairline crack in the channel lining. You carry a small pouch of the specialized plaster material, a reed-brown powder, ready to mix with water. This act of laying out and checking your tools is more than just preparation. It's a piece of quiet, personal trivia. Each tool represents a specific challenge you might face, the specific problem you are equipped to solve. The plumb bob for a sagging arch, the chisel for mineral deposits, the trowel wheel for a leak. Your tools are a physical extension of your knowledge, a testament to the practical, hands-on nature of Roman engineering and maintenance. Finally, you reach into a hidden pocket of your tunic and pull out a small, worn amulet, shaped like a tiny, stylized fish. You press it to your lips, a silent prayer to the local river god, or perhaps to the spirit of the aqueduct itself. The Romans were practical, but also deeply superstitious. Every part of their world had a spirit, and the great work of the aqueduct, bringing life minus giving water, would surely be imbued with a powerful one. This is a small, personal ritual, a blend of practicality and piety that quietly underpin much of Roman daily life. The historical debate that hums around this very specific kind of practical knowledge is about the distinction between engineering and craft. Were the Roman equerries like you mere laborers, following instructions from more educated architects and engineers in Rome? Or did they possess a deep, intuitive, and practical understanding of how these complex systems were, accumulated through generations of hands-on experience? Some historians argue that the detailed specifications left by Frontinus suggest a top-down, command-and control system, with little room for local initiative. Others contend that the sheer longevity and adaptability of the aqueducts points to the invaluable, unwritten knowledge held by the men who walked them every day. Men like you, who could spot a problem before it became a disaster and apply a fix born of instinct and experience. You look out at the aqueduct, the immense stone structure stretching into the rising sun. The soft hum of the water is a constant presence. You are ready. Your tools are laid out, gleaming faintly in the growing light. You pick up your inspection tablet, your stylus ready. You take a deep breath of the fresh morning air. The first test of the day is simple, yet crucial. You walk to the edge of the channel, lean over, and look closely at the water. Is it flowing smoothly? Is it clear? Are there any unexpected ripples? Any telltale signs of sediment or obstruction? Your walk has truly begun, and the smallest detail can be the beginning of the biggest problem. The sun is fully above the horizon now, bathing the landscape in a soft, golden light. You begin your actual patrol, walking alongside the exposed stretch of the Aqua Marcia, a narrow path of compacted earth running parallel to the channel. The air is still cool, but promises the heat of midday. You hear the ceaseless murmur of the water beside you, a constant companion. Your eyes, trained by years of observation, begin their silent, methodical work, scanning every inch of the structure. You walk slowly, your gaze fixed on the outer face of the aqueduct channel, then dipping to the water flowing within. The mainstream historical knowledge here is that Roman aqueducts, while marvels of engineering, were far from maintenance-free. They were complex systems constantly battling against the forces of nature and time. Leaks, cracks, sediment buildup, vegetation growth, and even seismic activity were perpetual threats that demanded constant vigilance. Your job is to be the first line of defense, to catch the whispers of trouble before they become a shout. For the first few hundred paces, all is as it should be. The opus sign lining of the channel appears intact. The water flows smoothly, its surface only disturbed by the occasional insect. Your eye follows the gentle, almost imperceptible downward slope of the channel, the precise gradient that allows gravity to do its tireless work, carrying millions of gallons of water across dozens of miles. It's a miracle of calculation, executed in stone. Then, you see it. It's subtle, easily missed by an untrained eye. On the smooth, red-tinged surface of the specus lining, just below the waterline, there's a faint, almost greasy discoloration. It's a slightly darker patch, barely a hand span across, but it catches your attention. Your experienced eye knows instantly it's the telltale sign of a small calcium deposit, a crust of white minerals left behind by a tiny, almost invisible leak. The water, in its relentless journey, is trying to escape. You stop. You bend closer, your shadow falling across the channel. You reach out a finger and touch the spot. It feels slightly rough, granular. The leak itself is too small to be seen. Perhaps just a hairline crack in the opus sign or a failure in the mortar between two stones beneath the plaster. But the water, carrying dissolved minerals from the spring, is slowly weeping through, evaporating on the surface, and leaving its signature. This discovery introduces a peculiar and somewhat frustrating piece of aqueduct trivia: the silent, slow sabotage of the water itself. While the water was Rome's lifeblood, it was also its insidious enemy. The same minerals that made the water pure and potable, lime, calcium, ironwood, over time, precipitate out and form a hard, stony crust on the inside of the specus. The center, as modern historians call it, could build up, narrowing the channel and reducing the flow of water. Small leaks, like the one you found, were also caused by this mineral-rich water, slowly dissolving mortar and plaster. It was a constant battle against the very essence of what the aqueduct carried. You pull out your chisel and gently tap the area around the discoloration. The stone feels solid, but the faint ring it produces is not quite the healthy, clear resonance you expect. There's a hollow echo beneath it, indicating a small void, a weakness. You mark a spot on your wax tablet with your stylus, sketching a quick diagram of the channel and indicating the exact location of the seepage. You will need to bring a repair crew here later with proper tools and fresh mortar. The historical debate that quietly bubbles beneath the surface of your discovery is about the philosophy of maintenance. Was Rome's approach to aqueduct maintenance reactive, fix problems as they arise, or proactive, prevent problems before they happen? The sheer scale of the system and the detailed records left by water commissioners like Frontenac suggest a highly organized, systematic approach to both routine inspection, your job, and preventive maintenance. However, the constant discovery of these small, creeping failures indicates that even the most rigorous system was always playing catch-up. Some historians argue that the Romans were brilliant engineers but lacked the material science to create truly impermeable seals, meaning small leaks were inevitable. Others suggest that the cost of perfect maintenance was simply too high, and a certain degree of leakage and repair was simply factored into the long-term running of the system. Your daily walk is the practical answer to this philosophical question. It was a little bit of both. You continue your walk, your senses sharpened. You scan for other signs, the slightly darker patch of earth at the base of an arch, indicating a leak in the substructure. The sudden profusion of bright green moss on a stone where it shouldn't be, a symptom of constant dampness. You listen for any change in the waters. A sudden rush might mean an obstruction upstream. A gurgle could signal a partial collapse. The aqueduct, to you, is a living entity, and you're its doctor, reading its subtle symptoms. You arrive at a short section where the channel is more open, allowing for a clearer view of the water's surface. Here, you discover another problem, a small, dark bundle of weeds, perhaps caught by the current from a field after a recent rain, snagged on a protrusion in the channel wall. It's small now, but it will grow, collect more debris, and eventually form a blockage. You make a note on your tablet. This will require a long tow, or perhaps even a temporary diversion of the water if the blockage grows larger. The sun is beginning to climb higher, and the air is warming. You have barely begun your walk, and already the hidden work of the aqueduct has revealed itself. Your day will not be one of quiet contemplation alone. It will be a day of problem-solving, of careful repair, of ensuring that the lifeblood of Rome continues its unbroken journey. You pick up your stylus again, ready to record the next whisper of trouble. The sun is climbing higher now, casting crisp shadows from the aqueduct's mighty arches across the fields. You continue your meticulous walk, your eyes scanning every block of stone, every patch of mortar, every ripple in the clear water flowing beside you. The air is growing warmer, carrying the scent of wild herbs and distant sheep. You've traversed a section where the channel is buried beneath the earth, leaving only a faint mound of marker stones, then emerged again to a stretch where it runs just above ground level. The low, solid wall of stone. Here, the side of the aqueduct is smooth, offering an inviting canvas for idle hands. And there it is, a small, crude carving etched into the rough hewn surface of one of the older, lower blocks. It's not an official inscription. It's a piece of ancient graffiti. The carving depicts a caricature of a man's face, rendered with a few simple lines, a bulging nose, 2 circles for eyes, and a wide, grinning mouth. Below it, scratched with a sharp point, are 3 Roman letters L. This is the mainstream historical reality of ancient Rome. People left their marks everywhere. From the elegant villas of Pompey to the barracks of legionaries, graffiti was a common form of informal communication and self-expression. It wasn't just crude vandalism. It included poems, declarations of love, political endorsements, and everyday observations. For a society without widespread paper or printing, stone walls became the public forum, the social media of their day. This particular carving, Dale, likely stands for Lucius me fecit Lucius made me, or Lucius did this. It's a simple, universal desire to be remembered, to leave a mark on the world. You pause, a quiet smile touching your lips. You imagine Lucius. Perhaps he was a stonemason, or another aqueduct worker, sitting in this very spot hundreds of years ago, taking a break from the relentless labor. Perhaps he was bored. Perhaps he was just proud of his work, or simply wanted to leave a fleeting sign of his existence for someone, anyone, to find centuries later. His name, otherwise lost to history, survives here, etched into the very fabric of the Roman world. This brings up a delightful piece of mundane trivia about the aqueduct system itself, its human minus scale details. Despite their colossal size, these structures were filled with small, intimate touches left by the people who built and maintained them. Aside from graffiti, you might find a forgotten tool wedged into a crack, a crude, personalized marker stone, or even the remnants of a small, informal shrine hidden in a remote arch. These weren't planned by the engineers or commissioned by the emperor. They were the spontaneous, informal imprints of the thousands of individual lives that breathed life into Rome's grand designs. You trace the lines of Lucius's grinning face with your finger. The stone feels cool under your touch. The image is weathered by centuries of sun and rain, but it's still clear enough to make out. You almost feel a kinship with this long minus dead predecessor. A silent nod across the ages. He too walked these miles. He, too, knew the ceaseless murmur of the water. He, too, experienced the quiet tedium of ensuring the lifeblood of Rome flowed unimpeded. The historical debate that this humble piece of graffiti provokes is about its reliability as a historical source. How much can we truly infer about Roman society from these informal carvings? Are they genuinely representative of common sentiment, or merely the idle scribblings of a few individuals? Some historians argue that graffiti, precisely because it is spontaneous and uncensored, offers a unique and invaluable window into the everyday lives, beliefs, and humor of ordinary Romans, a perspective rarely found in official inscriptions or elite literature. Others are more cautious, pointing out that it's difficult to gauge the prevalence or significance of specific messages, and that a single piece of graffiti might just be an outlier, a random act of bored self-minus expression rather than a reflection of widespread attitudes. Was Lucius a representative Roman, or just a particularly bored Roman with a sharp tool? You make a quick note on your wax tablet, a small sketch of the grinning face and the letters L. Not for repair, not for official record, but for your own quiet amusement, a small anomaly in the immense, impersonal logic of the aqueduct. It's a reminder that even the grandest engineering feats are built by human hands, and those hands, when idle, will always find a way to leave their mark. You continue your walk. The sun is now a little higher, the air a little warmer. The murmur of the water beside you is constant, but now it seems to carry the faint, ghostly chuckle of Lucius, echoing through the centuries. You walk on, leaving the grin behind, a quiet smile on your own face. The aqueduct holds its secrets well, but sometimes it gives up a small, human one, just for you. The sun is now high overhead, beating down with a fierce, almost oppressive heat. You've walked for several hours now, the long, steady pace that has carried you miles from Rome, deeper into the rolling hills of the Campagna Romana. Your tunic is damp with sweat, and a fine layer of dust clings to your sandals. Your stomach begins to rumble, a quiet reminder that even the guardians of Rome's lifeblood need sustenance. You reach a small, familiar copse of gnarled olive trees, their silver minus green leaves shimmering in the heat. It's a favorite spot, a place where the aqueduct briefly dips underground before emerging again on a series of low arches. The dense canopy of the trees provides a welcome patch of shade, a cool, dark haven from the relentless sun. This is your signal for the midday meal. You slide off your small linen bag, allowing the cool breeze to ruffle your hair. You sit down on a smooth, flat stone that has clearly served as a lunch spot for countless aqueduct inspectors before you. The stone feels pleasantly warm beneath your hand. You unwrap your meal, the same hard bread, a few olives, and a small flask of watered wine. It's a simple, unvarying menu, but after hours of walking in the sun, it feels like a feast. This simple, unchanging midday meal is a universal historical reality for working-class Romans. Their diet was largely based on grain, vegetables, and legumes, supplemented with olives, cheese, and sometimes fish or very cheap meat. It was a caloric, if monotonous, diet, providing the energy needed for manual labor. The meals were practical, functional, and largely eaten in the field or workshop, not in a grand dining room. You break a piece of your hard bread. It's dry and coarse, but dipped into the watered wine, it softens enough to chew. You pop a few briny olives into your mouth, the salty tang a welcome burst of flavor. You drink deeply from your flask, the cool, diluted wine quenching your thirst and offering a mild, pleasant buzz. You eat slowly, savoring each mouthful, listening to the gentle hum of cicadas in the trees and the ever-present murmur of the water flowing unseen beneath the earth nearby. As you eat, a small, curious detail catches your eye. Nestled in the gnarled roots of one of the olive trees, almost hidden by the long grass, is a small, perfectly preserved clay oil lamp. It's old, much older than you, perhaps even older than the aqueduct itself. Its surface is smooth, still bearing the faint imprint of the potter's thumb. It's empty and cold, a relic of some long-minus forgotten picnic or a lost moment of contemplation by another traveler. This unexpected discovery provides a quiet and poignant piece of Roman trivia. Objects lost or discarded by ordinary people, broken pottery, worn sandals, simple tools offer invaluable insights into their daily lives that rarely make it into official records. These are the small, accidental archaeological finds that historians use to reconstruct the mundane realities of the past. The oil lamp, lying silently in the roots, speaks of a Roman who sat here, just like you, perhaps enjoying the shade as dusk fell, their simple light keeping the shadows at bay. The historical debate that this moment subtly touches upon is the quality of life for the common Roman. Was their daily existence a hard, brutal grind, or did it contain moments of simple pleasure and contentment? Elite Roman writers often focused on grand narratives or the excesses of the rich. They rarely detailed the mundane lives of the working class. Some historians emphasize the hardships, the poverty, the constant labor, the early deaths. Others highlight the resilience, the simple joys found in community, family, and the rhythm of nature. Much like your peaceful lunch under the olive trees, your quiet moment, savoring your bread and wine, suggests that even in a utilitarian existence, there was space for a profound, personal satisfaction. You finish your meal. You carefully pack away your flask and the remaining olives. You run your hand over the smooth, cool stone where you sat, feeling the faint warmth left by your body. The sun still beats down, but the shade of the olive trees has renewed your energy. You stand up, stretch your tired muscles, and sling your bag over your shoulder. The aqueduct continues its unseen journey, the silent, vital artery running beneath the earth. You glance back at the small, forgotten oil lamp nestled in the roots. It's a ghost of a past meal, a quiet companion. You turn and continue your walk, leaving the cool shade behind. The path stretches out before you, shimmering faintly in the midday heat. The water, unseen but ever present, whispers its ceaseless song through the earth. Your quiet work continues. It is a simple life, a predictable life, but in its routine, and in these small, unexpected encounters with the past, you find a deep, enduring peace. The world moves on, but the aqueduct, and your duty to it, remains constant. The sun is at its peak, and the air shimmers with heat. You've left the relative quiet of the olive grove behind and are now walking along a stretch of the aqueduct that runs through open, grassy fields. The stone channel, exposed to the sky, gleams white under the direct sunlight, and the water inside flows with a bright, relentless shimmer. The rhythm of your sandals on the dusty path, the drone of insects, and the constant murmur of the water create a hypnotic backdrop to your solitary work. You're acutely aware of the wildlife here, for you are not truly alone. This part of the countryside is sparsely populated by humans, but it teems with small creatures. You see lizards basking on sun-warmed stones, their scales glinting like miniature jewels. A family of field mice scurries across your path, darting into the safety of tall grass. A hawk circles lazily overhead, a dark speck against the brilliant blue sky, its shadow momentarily sweeping over the aqueduct. These animals are the true inhabitants of this landscape, living their lives in quiet coexistence with Rome's monumental engineering. This is a mainstream historical truth about Roman infrastructure in the countryside. While the aqueducts were built to serve the city, their presence profoundly impacted the rural landscape. They provided a consistent water source in places that might otherwise be dry, attracting wildlife and influencing local ecosystems. The fields around them became richer, often cultivated to feed the city. The aqueducts were not just channels for water, they were arteries of life, creating new habitats and routes for animals. Your walk is a daily reminder of this unintended ecological consequence of Roman ingenuity. You continue your survey, your eyes scanning the channel for cracks or debris, when a sudden, agitated chattering makes you stop. It's coming from a cluster of low, thorny bushes growing stubbornly at the base of one of the aqueduct's arches. You peer closer. Two small, furry heads with bright, intelligent eyes poke out from the foliage. Squirrels. They are engaged in a frantic, noisy argument over something you can't quite make out. Their tails twitch with irritation. You watch them, amused. They are so consumed by their tiny drama that they barely notice your towering presence. This encounter leads you to a peculiar, almost bizarre piece of aqueduct trivia that sometimes minus unintended, and sometimes minus fatal, interactions between these animals and the flowing water. While many creatures benefited from the aqueducts, some found themselves in unexpected trouble. Snakes would sometimes fall into the open channels and be swept along by the current. Birds would build nests in the crevices of the arches, only to have their chicks dislodged by heavy rains or strong winds. And small mammals, like these squirrels, would occasionally attempt to cross the narrow channel or drink from its fast moving current, sometimes losing their footing and being carried away. The aqueduct, a giver of life, could also be a silent, indifferent taker. You've encountered this before. Sometimes, you find the body of a small animal floating in the channel, drowned. It's a somber reminder of the relentless, unforgiving power of the water. Your job, technically, is to clear such obstructions. But today, these squirrels are just a lively diversion. You shift your weight, and the sound of your sandals finally alerts them to your presence. With a series of indignant chirps and flicks of their tail, they vanish back into the thorny bushes, their argument temporarily forgotten in the face of the giant human intruder. The quiet returns, broken only by the steady rush of the water. The historical debate that this interaction brings to mind is the Roman attitude towards nature and wild animals, where they seen purely as resources to be exploited, or as something to be appreciated, or even feared. While the Romans famously captured exotic animals for their gladiatorial games, they also wrote poetry celebrating the beauty of the countryside and developed sophisticated agricultural practices that worked with nature. Historians debate the nuances of this relationship. Was it a pragmatic exploitation disguised by a veneer of philosophical appreciation? Or did Romans truly feel a spiritual connection to the land and its creatures? Your quiet observation of the squirrels suggests a personal, simple appreciation for the small, untamed lives that flourished alongside the grand structures of the empire, a counterpoint to the city's rigid order. You continue your walk. The sun is beginning its slow descent, and the shadows are lengthening once more. You pass a stretch where the aqueduct channel is supported by a single, massive arch spanning a small ravine. Below, a herd of sheep grazes peacefully. Their bells are faint, musical chime on the breeze. The shepherd, a young boy, looks up and waves. You wave back, This more shared moment in the vastness of the countryside. You consider the creatures you've seen today, the lizards, the mice, the hawk, the squirrels, the sheep. They are all here because of the aqueduct. It provides water, it creates cover, it shapes their world just as it shapes Rome. You are not just inspecting a channel of water. You are walking through a living, breathing landscape, a vibrant ecosystem sustained, empowered by the very structure you got. Your seemingly dull job is, in fact, a daily communion with the wild, untamed beauty of the Roman Campania, a world where stone and animal exist in a quiet, unexpected harmony. You take a deep breath of the warm, dry air and continue your slow, observant journey. The sun dips lower, painting the western sky in fiery oranges and deep purples. The air is cooling now, and a gentle breeze rustles through the olive trees. You've been walking for most of the day, your body a familiar ache of pleasant fatigue, your mind quiet and observant. You are nearing a particularly long stretch of the Aqua Marcia where it runs on a series of majestic, high arches, traversing a wide valley. It's a place of breathtaking beauty, where the Roman achievement truly soars into the sky. You climb the narrow, winding steps to the very top of one of the tallest arches, a routine you perform not out of necessity for inspection here, but for the sheer pleasure of the view. The worn stone is cool beneath your hands as you ascend, each step bringing you higher above the fading world. At the apex, you stand on the narrow catwalk beside the enclosed water channel, the wind a gentle caress on your face. The view is breathtaking. The entire Roman Campania stretches out before you, a vast, undulating tapestry of greens and browns, softening to muted shades in the twilight. To the east, the distant Apennine Mountains are dark, imposing silhouettes. To the west, a faint, golden glow marks the location of Rome, a city you can only imagine from this distance, a distant hum of life. The aqueduct itself stretches in both directions, a ruler minus straight line of majestic arches, marching off into the growing darkness like a procession of ancient giants. This panoramic view from the top of the aqueduct arches is a vivid illustration of a mainstream historical fact, the sheer scale of Roman engineering and its profound impact on the landscape. These structures were not just built in the landscape, they became a dominant, defining feature of it, visible for miles. They were monumental declarations of Roman power, mastery over nature, and the ability to impose order and utility on vast territories. Standing here, you truly feel the pulse of the empire. You stand there for a long time, simply observing. The vastness of the view puts your daily, mundane tasks into perspective. The tiny crack you found this morning, the weeds you cleared, the water level you measured, these are infinitesimal details in the face of this colossal achievement. And yet, it is precisely these infinitesimal details, carefully managed by men like you, that allow this grand structure to stand and to flow, century after century. As the last sliver of sun dips below the horizon, you notice a peculiar, almost magical piece of visual trivia. The dull, imposing arches of the aqueduct, now silhouetted against the brilliant twilight sky, seem to glow from within. This is not some divine light. It's the result of hundreds of small, cooking fires being lit in the farmhouses and villas scattered across the Campania. Their faint, orange glow, seen from this height, casts a subtle, dancing light through the distant arches, making them appear almost translucent, alive with a warm, internal fire. It's a beautiful, unintended consequence of the structure itself, a frame for the hidden life of the Roman countryside. The historical debate that this view from on high evokes is about the Roman relationship with nature and the sublime. Did they see their massive engineering projects as a triumph over nature, bending it to their will? Or did they see themselves as working with nature, channeling its power for human benefit? While Roman rhetoric often emphasized conquest and dominance, the beauty and harmonious integration of many aqueducts into the landscape suggest a more complex appreciation. Some historians argue that the Romans found a kind of aesthetic and even spiritual law in their own monumental works, seeing them as extensions of nature itself, imbued with its power. Others contend that any beauty was a fortunate accident, secondary to pure function. Standing here, watching the Roman countryside breathe under the arches, it feels like a profound dialogue between human ingenuity and the timeless natural world. You feel a profound sense of peace. The day's labor is done. The immediate troubles of the water are addressed. You are alone with the silence, the wind, and the vast, beautiful canvas of the Roman night unfurling above you. The stars begin to appear, tiny pinpricks of cold light, slowly filling the darkening sky. You look towards the distant glow of Rome, a faint, golden smudge on the western horizon. Millions of lives depend on the water that flows relentlessly beneath your feet, channeled through the structure you guard. You are a nameless cog in this immense machine, but you are an essential one. You have walked the paths of giants today, and you have ensured that the lifeblood of an empire continues to flow. You turn and begin your slow descent from the arch, your shadow falling long before you. The stone feels cool under your hands. You are heading back to the city, to your humble home, carrying the quiet satisfaction of a day well spent. The murmur of the water is a steady companion, a lullaby that will soon carry you to sleep. Your long, quiet, and profoundly scenic walk is nearing its end, a silent testament to the enduring presence of Roman greatness, etched in stone and flowing water, under the vast, unchanging sky. The air is growing cooler as twilight deepens. The vibrant hues of sunset are fading into soft grays and blues, and the stars are beginning to prickle through the deepening sky. You're on the final leg of your journey towards Rome, walking along a section where the Aqua runs in an open channel, a visible silver ribbon carrying its vital cargo. The water's murmur has become a comforting, familiar drone, a sound that has accompanied you for hours, a steady pulse in the quiet countryside. Your eyes, trained by years of observation, continue their subconscious scan of the water, looking for anything that might impede its flow. Most of the time, it's just sediment, or leaves and branches caught by the current after a storm. But sometimes, the aqueduct yields a surprise. And today, it does, as you round a gentle bend in the channel. Your gaze falls upon something floating gently in a small eddy near the bank. It's not natural debris. It's too distinct, too human. You stop and peer closer. It's a small, cylindrical object, dark, with water and grime, but undeniably man-minus made. This occasional discovery of foreign objects in the aqueduct channels is a well-minus documented mainstream historical fact. Despite the efforts to filter water at the source and the strict regulations against polluting the aqueducts, objects would inevitably fall in, be blown in by wind, or even sometimes deliberately discarded. These items then traveled with the current, sometimes for miles, before snagging on an obstruction or washing into a quieter section. For archaeologists, these accidental finds provide invaluable glimpses into daily Roman life, the things people owned, lost, or casually discarded. You reach down with your long pole, the one you used earlier to clear the branch blockage, and carefully nudge the object towards the edge of the channel. As it gets closer, you can make out its form more clearly. It's a small, intricately carved bone dice. It's not a simple, crudely made piece, but a finely crafted gaming die. Its 6 faces precisely marked with dots. It must have belonged to someone of means. Perhaps a soldier, or a merchant, or even a traveler on the nearby road, who stopped for a moment by the aqueduct and, in a moment of carelessness, let it slip from his fingers. You carefully scoop it out of the water with your hand. It feels cool and smooth, surprisingly light. You rub the grime from its surface, and the white of the bone gleams faintly in the fading light. It's a beautiful, tiny object, a testament to a fleeting moment of leisure or chance for some unknown Roman, a little piece of someone's life, now floating in the lifeblood of Rome. This discovery of a gaming die offers a peculiar and often poignant piece of Roman trivia. Dice games were immensely popular in Roman society, played by everyone from emperors to slaves. They were played in taverns, in barracks, at dinner parties. This small bone cube, now in your hand, was once a source of excitement, of triumph, of despair. For its owner, it's a direct, tangible link to the quiet, personal moments of leisure that punctuated the otherwise busy and regimented lives of Romans. It's a testament to the universal human impulse for play and chance. You turn the die over in your palm, imagining the hand that last held it, the stakes that were wagered, the laughter or curses that accompanied its roll. It's a silent, anonymous story, but a vivid one. You wonder who its owner was, and what his fate became. Did he even notice it was lost? Did he ever think of it again? The historical debate that this humble find subtly provokes is about the role of chance and fate in Roman society and how much it truly impacted their daily lives. While the Romans prided themselves on order, discipline, and military might, they were also deeply superstitious and believed in the power of fate fortuna. Dice games, with their pure reliance on chance, were a daily embodiment of this belief. Some historians argue that this pervasive belief in fortuna undermined Roman concepts of individual agency and responsibility. Others contend that it provided a psychological comfort, a way to rationalize unpredictable events in a world that was often beyond their control. This tiny die, resting in your hand, is a quiet symbol of a life that swung between rigorous order and the arbitrary whims of chance. You place the bone die carefully in your linen bag, nestling it beside your bread and olives. It's not something you'll report. It's not a repair item. It's a personal find, a small, beautiful mystery. You'll clean it later, display it on your shelf at home, a silent companion to the wooden tablet where you record the precise, ordered details of your days. It's a reminder that even in the most functional of structures, there are always unexpected stories. You continue your walk. The stars are bright now. A cold diamond dust scattered across the vast, dark expanse of the sky. The aqueduct stretches out before you. Its great arches now dark, imposing silhouettes against the lingering twilight glow of the city. The murmur of the water is constant, unchanging, a soothing lullaby accompanying your steady footstep. You have completed your patrol for the day. The water flows, the empire drinks, and you carry a small, silent piece of forgotten history in your bag, a tiny echo of a human life, swept in by the endless current of the great Roman river. Your long, quiet, and profoundly scenic walk is almost over. The sun has finally dipped below the horizon, and the Campagna is bathed in the deep, velvety blue of true twilight. You are on the final stretch of your long walk. The path now a familiar ribbon winding through the fields and vineyards. The air is cool and still, scented with damp earth and the subtle perfume of night minus blooming flowers. Your legs are pleasantly tired, your shoulders aching gently from the weight of your bag and tools. The ceaseless murmur of the aquamarcia, which has been your constant companion all day, is now a comforting, almost hypnotic sound. Ahead, you see the faint, golden glow of Rome against the darkening sky. It's not the blinding chaos of midday, but a soft, inviting halo, a promise of warmth, a meal, and a soft bed. The distant sounds of the city are now audible again, and low, muffled hum that suggests a million lives continuing their existence under the cover of night. This sight, the gentle beacon of Rome after a long day in the quiet countryside, is a universal historical experience for anyone who commuted between the city and its surrounding areas. It marks the transition from the solitude of labor to the embrace of urban life. You quicken your pace slightly, drawn towards that distant glow. You pass a small, roadside shrine, its ancient stones silhouetted against the last light. A family of field mice scurries across your path, darting into the safety of the tall grass. A low now hoots in the distance, its mournful call echoing across the valley. The natural world is settling into its nocturnal rhythm, a counterpoint to the city's waking night. This transition from rural to urban sounds highlights a quiet and specific piece of Roman sensory trivia. The experience of sound in the ancient world was vastly different from our own. Outside the city, the silence would have been profound, broken only by natural sounds or the distant clatter of a farm. Inside Rome, however, especially at night, the cacophony could be overwhelming. Carts rumbling often banned during the day due to congestion, vendors hawking their wares, revelers carousing, the constant hum of human activity. Your journey brings you from one extreme to the other, a symphony of contrasting soundscapes. You finally reach the city gates. They are still open, but guards stand vigilant, their armor gleaming dully in the torchlight. You exchange a few quiet words with them, a nod of recognition, a report of all clear on your section of the aqueduct to pass through. The sudden press of bodies, even at this late hour, is a small shock after your day of solitude. The air is immediately thicker, filled with the mingled scents of human bodies, cooking fires, and the pervasive tang of urban life. You make your way through the narrow, twisting streets, passing taverns where laughter spills out into the night, and homes where soft candlelight glows through shuttered windows. You occasionally see a patrol of city watchmen, their lanterns swinging. The city never truly sleeps, not in the way the countryside does. Its life is constant, restless, fueled by the water that you have spent your day safeguarding. The historical debate that this journey home brings to mind is the personal impact of Roman urbanization. What was it like for people, like you, whose lives straddled the boundary between the wild, natural world and the dense, artificial world of the city? Did they experience a sense of alienation, a constant tension between these two realities? Or did they adapt, finding comfort in the rhythm of both, valuing the peace of the countryside precisely because of the chaos of the city? Your preference for the quiet of your duty suggests an appreciation for both, a personal balance found in the contrast. You finally reach your small home. It's familiar or a welcome sight. You slide the bolt shut behind you, shutting out the last whispers of the city night. The air inside is still and cool. You light your oil lamp, its gentle flame chasing away the shadows. You unlace your sandals, allowing your tired feet to rest on the cool, tiled floor. You unshoulder your linen bag and place it on your small table. The quiet solitude of your own four walls is a profound comfort after the long miles. You are home. Your duty, for today, is done. You have walked Rome's lifeblood, ensured its flow, and journeyed between two worlds. The quiet rhythms of your day have ended, replaced by the deep peace of your own personal sanctuary. You are ready for the next, equally quiet, task, the careful recording of your observations. The oil lamp on your small table has been extinguished. The papier scroll, filled with the precise details of your day's inspection, is neatly rolled and placed in its box. The bone die you found rests silently on your shelf, a tiny, enigmatic presence in the cool darkness of your room. You lie on your cot, the rough wool of your blanket a familiar comfort, listening to the subtle symphony of the city settling into its deep sleep, the distant bray of a donkey, the occasional shout from a reveler, the almost imperceptible murmur of the millions of lives that depend on the work you do. Your body is tired, but your mind is clear, a state of quiet contemplation that often comes at the end of a long, solitary day. You think of the aqueduct, the colossal structure that has been your companion today. You walked for miles alongside it, peered into its silent depths, cleaned its channels, and measured its flow. On the surface, it is a pipe, a channel for water. But to you, it is so much more. It is a symbol, a creed, a deep and abiding conviction that defines what it means to be Roman. This is the mainstream historical understanding of Rome's aqueduct. They were not merely engineering feats. They were profound statements of Roman identity and values. They embodied order, discipline, public welfare, and a mastery over nature that set Rome apart. When a Roman looked at an aqueduct, they didn't just see stone and water. They saw civilization itself. They saw the end of chaos, the promise of health, and the undeniable power of their city to command resources from distant lands and bring them home. You close your eyes, and the image of the aqueduct's towering arches rises in your mind, stretching across the twilight minus-bathed Campania. They are not just walls, they are a boundary. They separate the wild, untamed countryside from the ordered, disciplined life of the city. The water they carry is not just for drinking, it's for the public baths, those magnificent social hubs where citizens cleansed themselves and engaged in debate. It's for the fountains, which brought beauty and coolness to every street corner. It's for the public latrines, ensuring sanitation. It's for the grain mills and the forests, sustaining the city's industry. The aqueduct doesn't just bring water, it brings Roman life. And this leads to a subtle, almost philosophical piece of Roman trivia: the moral quality of water. For Romans, the purity and constant flow of water from their aqueduct symbolized civic virtue, good governance, and the health of the state itself. Stagnant, polluted water was associated with disease and moral decay. A clean, well-maintained aqueduct was a reflection of a strong, healthy, and virtuous Rome. The Aquarius, are not just ensuring water flows, you are ensuring Rome's moral integrity. It's a heavy burden for a man whose hands mostly wield a chisel. You think of the times you've seen the aqueduct under construction or undergoing major repairs. A rare sight now. You remember the legions of laborers, the constant noise of hammers and chisels, the shouts of the foreman. You remember the sheer, unyielding effort it took to build such a thing. To haul stone from distant quarries, to shape the earth, to lay the lead pipes. It was a monumental undertaking that spanned generations, a testament to the Roman obsession with permanence. The historical debate that quietly echoes around this very idea of permanence is whether the Romans truly believed their empire would last forever, or if their monumental building projects were a way to will eternity into existence. Did they build for the ages out of genuine hubris, believing in their own divine destiny? Or was it a more subtle act of psychological reassurance, a way to project an image of stability and immortality in a world where empires constantly rose and fell? Their writings often speak of eternal Rome, but their pragmatic nature also suggests an awareness of decline. Your daily walk, touching structures that have stood for centuries, makes you feel like a small part of that grand, uncertain, and endless project. You consider the men who came before you, the legionaries who marched on the roads, the tax collectors who counted the coins, the senators who debated in the forum. They all, in their own way, contributed to the Roman order, but your contribution feels different. It is direct, it is tangible, it is the very essence of keeping Rome alive. Without you, without the water, the legions would thirst, the markets would close, the baths would turn cold, and the forum would be empty. You think of the times you've walked the aqueduct in a driving rainstorm, or in the biting cold of winter, or under a baking summer sun. You have pushed through discomfort, through weariness, because the water cannot stop, the city cannot wait. The ideal of Rome, this vast, sprawling, beautiful, and sometimes chaotic entity, must be constantly fed, constantly maintained, constantly protected. And your humble, boring, solitary work is the price of that continuity. You are not an emperor. You will not have statues raised in your honor. Your name will not be remembered in the chronicles. But you are a Roman, and you embody the truest, most profound Roman virtues: diligence, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to the public good. You are a silent guardian of order, a living thread in the fabric of civilization. And as the city breathes around you, you feel a deep, quiet pride in your role. The water flows, Rome lies, and you, its humble servant, ensure its pulse beats true. The world sleeps, but the aqueduct, and your commitment to it, remains eternally awake. The gentle rocking of the hammock begins to feel less like a ship on the waves and more like the soft, rhythmic breathing of a world settling into slumber. The sharp tang of salt in the air mellows, blending into the familiar, comforting scent of your home room. The creaking of the ship's timbers fades, replaced by the gentle hum of the fan you turned on what feels like a lifetime ago. Your journey is over. The hardships, the hunger, the endless blue horizon, they are all dissolving now, becoming dream-minor stuff, memories that soften and lose their hard edges as you drift deeper. The taste of the pineapple and the bitterness of the moldy biscuit both fade from your tongue, leaving only a sense of quiet neutrality. You are no longer a sailor, but a traveler returning from a long, strange voyage, leaving the story behind on a distant shore. Feel the solid, unmoving ground of your bed beneath you. There are no duties to attend to, no languages to decipher, no expectations to meet. There is only the stillness of this moment, a perfect, quiet garden of the mind. Let the last echoes of the story drift away like cherry blossoms on the wind, leaving you in a state of serene and thoughtless rest. You have earned this tranquility. Sleep now, sleep well. The end of the article. Good night.